Well, this is episode 354 and also the April Fool's edition. That's kind of fitting, isn't it, boys? Of, of the 3 Point Podcast. We're presented by Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center for mobility and pain relief. Contact the Wellness Center on how to get 20% off flexibility packages. Make sure you follow the Wellness Center on Facebook for all details. We're also brought to you in part by Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair, and ALS of Michigan. And we were talking off camera a little bit about the storms that came through Michigan this last weekend. I mean, it was nasty down here. We didn't get the ice that up north got, but it did knock out my cable. And I got to tell you guys, we were talking about it last week.
Sorry, it's just the idea that it's like, I just love to imagine it's like the clock strikes midnight and your cable goes out. It's got to be just like pure panic.
It would have been even worse. I should clarify. I'm watching the Spartans game, right? And all of a sudden, we get all these storm alerts. You get your local news cutting it. The local CBS station cuts in, pretty much takes all the screen other than a little sliver of the Spartan game. And it's all the audio. So I thought, this is not bad for an old guy, I didn't think. So we talked about the March Madness Live app. So I hooked up my app, and then I synced the play-by-play exactly to the TV. Nice. So we were listening to the play-by-play on my phone and watching it up there in the corner of the screen. Yeah. So we were able to survive it, but it was a hell of a storm.
Nothing angers people more than when they do those cut-ins. I mean, we all remember the Michigan State game, football game, maybe 2015, 2016. Where it was a night game and it was raining and they cut in for probably 20, 30 minutes of that game. People lose their minds over it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm lucky I was on the March Madness app the whole time, so that never happened to me. But people do go bonkers over that.
Yeah, it's like the best of both, or like the worst, I guess, best or worst of both worlds. People love their weather. Everyone always wants to know what's going on with the weather. But then if you're in the middle of a big game, and they cut in, right, they get mad. What's the most classic cut in to a big sports event, Ted?
Oh, man. I'm drawing it. Yeah, you put me on the spot. I can't think of it. The most recent one I'll just go with. Oh, OJ. Absolutely.
Yeah. They're cutting into the NBA Finals with the OJ chase. That's the most classic one.
Oh, 100%.
I wish I remember, what was his name? I think it was Eric. I know for sure his first name was Eric. So when I got a job at Fox 17 Grand Rapids, I met this guy. He was a weatherman. He goes, "Hey, you lived in the Flint area for a while?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, you probably were like screaming F you at the TV during the Michigan State game because that was me that cut in during that, and I never stopped getting hate for it." I was like, "Yeah, that is a good point, man. I feel bad for those guys. Like they know nobody wants to see them right now. The storm was terrible. I was actually dropping my brother and his now wife back off from honeymoon in Midland, and for about 5 minutes, like you could not see 5 feet in front of your car. It was such a downpour. It looked like Stranger Things, the underworld, like how dark it was outside. Usually you have some wind damage. It seems like, Uncle Ted. Whenever there's anything like that, you dodged it this time.
Dodged anything major. I've got to go out after we record this and pick up some limbs. Nothing really big, a couple decent sized ones, but I drove into town yesterday and on Delaney Road, people that are in our area, I saw this one house, a big tree just totally crushed this house, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The people up in, like I said, up north, they're probably going to be without power for a week, I'm guessing. I mean, it was like a war zone up there.
That bad, huh? Yeah, we were in over the weekend. We went over to Gatlinburg in Tennessee. Some friends from Michigan came down. They're on spring break, so they came down. So we just went over there and met them, and their parents were also there. They still live in the Wausau area. So yeah, the whole time her mom was on her phone like, "Oh, storms are coming through," watching their like Ring cameras and stuff, and trying to keep up with the storm. So it was kind of not funny by any means, but I was just thinking like, geez, all the people on spring break that traveled south, I guess, kind of got away from that storm, except it's no fun if you come back and you got to do cleanup when you get back to your house after a trip. But it sounds like it was a bad one.
There's been a show I've been watching, Matt, that's like, Danny McBride. So he's been the big director right now with Righteous Gemstones. Obviously, he's had great shows in the past. He's a big like Civil War buff. So like he'll always shoot all of his shows in like North Carolina, South Carolina. And almost all the shows have like some sort of tie to the Civil War or Civil War reenactments. I just had a random thought, like, is that something that you see a lot of like down there, especially like going to Gatlinburg? Is that like, what do you do there, I guess? Because
Oh,
it
well,
seems like
yeah,
Tennessee's kind of underrated as like a vacation spot.
it's cool. I mean, it's definitely Civil War is a big part of the Carolinas and
Yeah,
in Tennessee. Like there, you'll come across random parks or little areas that have like memorials or even like still stuff. I don't know what they're called, like structures, I guess,
right.
from the Civil War that are still standing, or things that and then they can tell you like this battle happened here, and
Right. That would
this
be
is where
awesome.
this. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to come across that. Definitely in Tennessee. Gatlinburg is so there's like Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge are right next to each other. Ted, have you ever been down there?
Yes, I have. I
Okay.
didn't spend a lot of time there, but I've been there. Yep.
Yeah, it's a cool area. Pigeon Forge is almost like Myrtle Beach, just not on the ocean. It's very,
Right.
it's really cool. It's a ton of fun. But it's very touristy. It's
Yeah.
all the shows and attractions and restaurants and putt and arcades and go-karts and
Right.
just all that stuff. So it's a ton of fun. Gatlinburg is similar, but it's like in the mountains, so it's got a really bunch of cool, unique attractions, I guess, like chairlifts up to the top of the mountain and like the bridges across like gullies and stuff. And I don't know, it's just I think because it's only about an 8-hour, 8-ish, I guess, depending on where you're at in Michigan, but about an 8-hour drive from Michigan. So I think,
Mhm.
as opposed to the people wanting to go to Florida, that's like a 24-hour car trip, down to Florida from
Right.
Michigan,
Right.
Right.
head down to Tennessee. It's a little closer. You can still get some, maybe a little bit warmer weather and, do some of that stuff. So, yeah, it's a fun, and you're in the mountains. So like we were in one of those like big old huge cabins that slept like 12 people.
Sounds
So
magical.
yeah, it's all that stuff. You wake up and you're just staring at the mountains and stuff. So it's in the Smoky Mountains. If anyone like the Smoky Mountains is the range there. So hiking, obviously, if you're into that stuff, ton of hiking, waterfalls, and all that. So it if you're looking for a different kind of unique type of little getaway vacation, I would definitely recommend it. A lot to do.
This segment brought to you by Gatlinburg Chamber of Commerce.
Dude, I do remember driving through like Kentucky, and we went through Tennessee last year on our way to Florida. I was blown away by the rolling hills, man.
Yeah.
It's God's country down there. It's magical. So I could definitely I was definitely leaving it like intrigued, like, hey, it'd be cool to come here for a few days. Like you said, like go up on the chairlifts and all that
Yeah,
sort of stuff. It looked awesome.
that is
Yeah,
cool.
a lot of people do houseboats on the
Oh yeah.
Tennessee rivers. I forget what they call it, the Tennessee River Authority, but
Yep.
yeah, Tennessee's a pretty cool state without a doubt. And the
Yeah.
Smoky Mountains, I mean, isn't that just a great name for a mountain range?
It is
It's
cool.
kind of
Can't
fitting
beat
too.
it.
No, you really can't.
Well,
Yeah, and all the
Rocky Mountains are maybe the one better name, but Smoky Mountains are pretty amazing too.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
pictures, like the logos and everything, it's Smokey the Bear. So I mean
Yeah.
everything for it. It is really cool. Yeah, my wife's dad, my wife went to high school. She was born in Michigan, moved to Tennessee for a while, graduated from Corona, so she grew up in Tennessee, and her dad is still lives there, and him and his wife and a bunch of friends, they do the houseboat thing. So you saying that house, it's a big thing down there. The rivers, people rent houseboats,
Oh
stay on
yeah.
a houseboat for a week or whatever. And actually,
Sounds awesome.
yeah, it is pretty cool. Where their house is in Tennessee, right next to it, 2 houses down, is an old, we've like walked by it, cemetery that has like, it must be from the Civil War, because it's
Right.
from, I mean, it's old, the gravestones or the tombstones and stuff. And the house behind it, huge, old, white, I mean, just classic house. It was a hospital for soldiers during the Civil War. So that's like, people still live in it. But it's like, I forget what it's called. It's like protected by the the county or whatever. So like, and there's like parks where, like, yeah, like I said, we'll go to the parks that now are modernized with playscapes and stuff for kids, baseball fields and soccer fields. But there's like Civil War monuments
You need
all over
to
the park. It's
Next time
kind of
you go,
wild.
you need to take out the old metal detector and start tracking down, find some old
Should
musket balls and some old pocket knives and
should
lighters and stuff like that. It'd be awesome.
It would be cool.
Yeah, but you might run into a few people my age, because I happen to notice that a lot of people that retire get metal finders and are out there trolling around, man. A couple friends of mine, as a matter of fact. I'll leave them unnamed at this moment.
I mean, what else do you have to do? Walk around and try and find old stuff, I guess. Walk
Right.
around.
Yeah, I'm satisfied with TV, but we were talking about it. My cable is still out. I don't have it yet. They say maybe we'll get it by 9 o'clock this morning. So without the cable, I'm without internet right at the moment.
You
So
got to
Yeah.
be thankful, man. You could have been boned hard if that
oh,
came 3-4 hours earlier, right
you
before a
got it.
state game. You would have been, yeah, would have been without a paddle, man. I don't know. I guess you could have streamed it from your phone, but buffering and who knows, it would have really messed
Right.
with your experience.
Yeah, well, I would have at least streamed. You're right. By the way, before we keep this thing moving, you buried the lead a little bit. How are the newlyweds doing? How are they doing?
Good. I tried not to bombard them with a zillion questions.
Right.
Like they seemed like they just went to war almost, like they were tired. From I mean, they went right from the wedding to 3 a.m. They were flying out for the honeymoon stuff, and they did the
Right.
whole cruise experience. Sounded like it was a great time, but yeah,
Nice.
I was one. We were dealing with some bad weather, so I was, not necessarily white
Concentrating.
knuckling, but part of it I definitely was. And two, yeah, I just tried to. Yeah, if they ask a question, great, we can converse. But I tried to just let. They probably have been talking to people nonstop for a week, so I was like, let me just let them hang out for
Yeah.
hour and a half as I take them back. So,
Right.
but they're doing good. Back to work.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. So luckily they're a day separated from that, where they went back to work yesterday. But that first day back, that's got to
Oh,
be
it's
brutal. It's brutal for
Yeah.
all
that's
of us.
Yeah.
That's tough. I had a little experience. It was just kind of comical. I was just scanning through Facebook yesterday, and all of a sudden, Lawrence came up, and it says Lauren Fattel. It kind of just jolted me for a
Oh,
second. You know,
it's
Yeah.
official.
it's official now for sure.
Yep.
By the way, we don't have a lot of prep spotlight stuff to get into, so I'll jump into it right now, real quick. The prep spotlight presented by the Jacobs Insurance Agency. Everybody knows, local, independent, and trusted. Just a couple of games as spring sports just starting to get underway. In baseball, Wasso swept Durand 8-2 and 15-0 to open up the season. Ryan Meyer had 3 hits in game 1, including a 2-run dinger. And in girls soccer, Wasso beat Byron 4-0. Elizabeth McCrone had 2 goals for the Trojans. So that's about all I have on the prep spotlight this week. But we again want to thank our good friends over at Jacobs Insurance Agency, and some of our other great partners include AZee Branding Solutions, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, and Nelson House Funeral Homes. Well, we'll jump into college and maybe some NBA basketball right after this short break here on 3 Point Podcast. All right, guys, March Madness didn't quite go as way as we were hoping. In my bracket, I was feeling really good after the first week and a half, but it's
Dead.
now dead.
Yeah.
Here's
But
here's what's kind of cool about the brackets right now. And one, it was a little bit of a disappointment of a tournament. I mean, man, there just hasn't been that magical game, and there's not many
no,
upsets. But what's been, I guess, the one silver lining to that is there's still so many people alive in pretty much any bracket pool you're in, because
hmm
it is those 4 1 seeds, and a lot of people have some sort of combination of 2 1 seeds in the championship
Right.
with one winning. So it's like there's still 10 people that could win it. Usually when you head into this weekend in a big tournament challenge, it's like 1 or 2 people can win, and that's about it. So
Yeah.
that's the one cool part, but yeah, just kind of disappointing. What is your guys' overall thoughts on March Madness? It seems like that's been the hot topic. Is it's just been kind of a dud year. What have you guys thought?
I mean, yeah, just because there's not really many Cinderella stories. I guess there were a couple little upsets early on. Really, the last, if it wouldn't be considered a Cinderella story, but the last fun storyline would have been either Michigan or Michigan State, if they could have made a run to the Final Four.
Yeah.
If Michigan could have beat Auburn and then maybe played Michigan State, or if Michigan State
oh,
could have beat Auburn and made another Final Four with Tom Izzo and that whole storyline, that was probably the last underdog type of story that there was. Because the 1 seeds really, going in, you can be like, Auburn wasn't playing that well coming in, or maybe is Cooper Flag healthy with Duke, you have some of those, but they're the 4 best teams in the country. I mean,
yeah,
and it showed, because maybe they got challenged a little bit. Michigan tested Auburn a little bit, and Houston's had a couple little tests, but I mean, they're the 4 best teams in the country, and really that's just how it played out.
yeah, and I agree with one part there that the first 2 weeks really a little under-inspiring because of the lack of upsets and the storylines. But when you look at this coming Saturday with the four number one seeds, I mean, how
Great
can
game.
how could we have a better Final Four? Really,
Right.
It is pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie about that. It is awesome. I love San Antonio for Final Fours too.
Yeah.
There's something about it that it just seems like a perfect town to have it. Last time they were there, it treated us Michigan fans good. That's when Michigan made it all the way to the championship and lost to Villanova. So,
Right.
Auburn, my God, they're good.
Yeah.
That was frustrating to watch. I
Mhm.
honestly, like, if I'm a Michigan fan and I'm a Michigan State fan, like, I feel good about what our team's accomplished this year. I feel like they pretty much maximized their potential. Michigan really had a moment where I was like, wow, they really might do this. And then water kind of found its level. I mean, Auburn has so much freaking firepower. It's not even fair almost. But yeah, what did you guys think of each team? Did you think like you're okay leaving that season? I know Michigan State fans they definitely wanted a Final Four, but as that game was ticking down, it just felt like they were outmanned. I didn't think that they played necessarily super poorly. It just felt like at some point they were going to run into that team that just was, that was just better than them. That's how I felt watching that Auburn game. What do you guys think?
Well, State couldn't knock down any shots. That killed
No.
them. And then this for you, Matt. I mean, this one nice thing about the tournament, you get to really study these teams and see their players. I mean, that Johnny Broome, I mean, you watched him all year long in the SEC. He's a stud, man. He is
Yes.
the real deal.
And he had a couple little injury issues that I feel like it's still lingering a little bit, but I mean, he's playing really well. He plays like slow motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his post moves and stuff, but he's so big and strong and just like skilled. He's just a really good player. I'll be curious how he translates to the NBA, but I mean that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I mean they're just so deep, and I mean we've talked about it before, and you've probably seen it 100 times now, especially since they played Michigan and Michigan State. They're old. I mean their starting five is older, the average age, than the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane to think
yeah.
about because of all the COVID years and the red shirts and all that. So that's big. That's a big deal. I mean,
Think about this, Matt. Baker Mazzara is older than I am.
right.
Dude, I'm bald. I don't even got hair anymore.
Right.
I mean, what else do you need to hear?
And that's a big deal. Because of the COVID stuff, we've seen it in football a little bit, teams that are experienced, I guess. And now we see it with Auburn, and that's a big deal. Guys who have played a lot of college basketball, and they're also good. And I think that, yeah, you guys basically said it. I think that came up against Michigan State. Michigan State's good, but people have said it over and over. Tom Izzo has actually said it too, that this is not his most skilled team. I mean, like Jace Richardson is good, and Akins, he's got good players, but when you put him up against a team like Auburn, it was like you are going to have to just like play lights out. You're going to have to someone's going to have to catch fire and play lights out to beat them. And that's why I kind of, like you said, Jared, I honestly, I didn't feel good going into Michigan playing Auburn because I thought they were just going to be outmanned, kind of basically what we're saying. But they're in the second half when they had a 9-point lead. I was like, they might be able to close this out. They might be able to, like, okay, Auburn's going to battle back, but they might be able to figure it out. And then, yeah, it just, the well opened up basically a 20-2 run or whatever happened. And it was like
freaking Pettiford, man. Holy crap. And it was like he didn't even have that good of a game against Michigan State, but my God, he killed Michigan.
Yeah,
that's the thing, man. Just so much. They have 5 different guys they could go to at any point. Danny Wolf had the game that we've been waiting for all year. I mean, he had a moment when he had that spin cycle, the Wolf attack call from Iron Eagle was all time. That moment, you're like, wow, this team really could make a Final Four push, or we're really going to get Michigan State, which is what we all wanted, man. But yeah, it felt like a team. Can I talk about Michigan State for a second? You feel bad criticizing Izzo. I'm not criticizing him. I don't know anything about basketball compared to him. He's forgotten more than I could ever learn by 10. I didn't understand this Zapala starting. At some point, Cohen Carr was really elevating up a level in the tournament, it felt like to me. And I know he still played big-time minutes. But you have a guy who got a DNP in the Sweet 16. Now he's starting for you in the Elite Eight. And I know that he started a lot of the year. At some point, that rotation needed to get dwindled down. That was Michigan State's strength, being able to play 8 to 10 to 11 guys. Maybe let's just play 8 once the big time crunch time games come around, like an Auburn game. Because to me, it just, you're wasting those minutes on that guy. I mean, Cohen Carr, we saw it against Ole Miss. His one dunk might have been worth 10 points, it felt like, in that moment of time. With you got Bill Raftery doing the Mario wahoo after he dunked it. That was the call of the tournament. That was awesome. So to me, it just felt like it was a little too cute. with the rotations. I really thought that they were going to ratchet them down and really cut some guys out of the rotation, come the start of the tournament. But for sure by the Elite Eight, when it's a must win game against a team that's probably better than you. Did you guys have any problems with how they handled that?
I didn't have any real problems with it, to be honest with you. When he started Carr in that first game, I thought that was kind of strange, even though he's a great player. But to mix it up at that stage of the season, that surprised me a little bit. But going with the big guy in that last game just for a rotation thing, I didn't have any major problem with
it. Yeah. I mean, like you said, Tom Izzo knows more than the three of us combined, and he knows his players also. So, he obviously knows matchups, and Auburn has those two bigs. So, Broom and Cardwell. So maybe he was thinking he needed to get another big body in there, and it obviously it didn't work out. And Holloman going scoreless, or
my God,
that doesn't help either. So I mean, they just didn't play their game against probably the best team in the country. So can't do that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, back to your original question. I think both Michigan and Michigan State got to feel pretty damn good about this season, and something to build on.
Both pretty Michigan was such a weird team, such a Jekyll and Hyde team throughout the year, but a memorable team. I mean, Golden, we'll remember him. Danny Wolf had his moment where he really kind of ascended to another level. Obviously, it would have been nice to hold on to it for maybe another 10 minutes and get that game over the finish line. But in the Michigan State, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the graphic. It was pretty cool. It showed where every player had started their college career and where they ended it for all the Sweet 16 teams, I think. All of them you couldn't even tell what team was what, other than Michigan State. Michigan State had 4 players that were originally started at State and 1 transfer in. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's like a last of a dying breed of a true team like that's been together 4 years. That's not slapped together in the offseason. I mean, I'm thinking about Michigan, man. It's like you're right back to work. Like I saw they just signed the kid from North Carolina. Like this is our new reality. Is second that tournament ends, like you got to be in the portal and building for next year. Pretty much assembling 5 new starters for next year. So it's going to be interesting to see. Did you guys get the same vibe that Danny Wolf is gone and then Jace Richardson seems like he's still 50-50? If Jace Richardson comes back, Michigan State is probably preseason top 2 or 3 with like serious expectations to win a national championship. What do you guys think of those two guys? Are they both gone?
Well, the first of all, that graphic, I know the graphic you're talking about. I think I retweeted it on our 3 Point Podcast page, but Purdue, their 5 starters were all Purdue. It was Michigan State.
I missed them.
And because there was only a couple. Michigan State had Spartans. Purdue, all 5 of their guys were Purdue. So Matt Painter over there is still old school. Duke, I think Duke had like 2 or 3 guys that were had been at Duke that started. But everyone else, almost all 5 were from different schools. Obviously, Michigan was. So it was just a crazy graphic to look at. Yeah, I mean, Michigan, Burnett can come back. Donaldson can actually come back, which would be cool. I think he probably should. Wolf is the interesting one. It's like
we
7 foot. He's got the handles. He can shoot. But, oh, man, we saw, like you said, Jekyll and Hyde. Some games it was like, yep, go to the NBA. Other games, nope, you should definitely come back. So I'll be very curious what he does. Richardson, I mean, I'm sure he's getting advice from his dad and, everyone else. And because of his lineage, because of his dad, because he did have a good year, he'd probably be a first-round pick. But it does almost feel like one more year in college under Izzo would probably benefit him. I don't know what kind of draft grades he's getting, but if he comes back, depending on who else they can get in the portal, they'll be legit. But we know with Michigan State, they were preseason unranked this year, and they turned into this team. And other times we see them preseason ranked top 5, and they fall apart. So, yeah.
Well, a lot of people out there don't realize, since this NIL came around, what kind of money is being thrown out there. Like, for example, I was talking to somebody recently, and a friend of the pod, and in college football, he's a quarterback, plays big time Division I football, was getting $250,000 a year. They brought in another kid to compete for that job. He's getting $1 million. So that's created some controversy.
Yeah, right.
Also, part of one of, he was at a different school. Part of their NIL payout was like the Bobby Bonilla thing that they signed. They signed him to a 20-year deal. $1,500 a month for 20 years. Think about that.
Pretty sweet gig, man. I mean, I know it's amazing. That's what makes you think like Danny Wolf, man, even if it is like you're gonna be a high draft pick, like, dude, how much can you garner on the market in NIL at Michigan? I
Right.
don't know. I wonder if Michigan maybe struggles a little bit with NIL in basketball. We know they don't in football. But to me, it's like, dude, go make $1 million, stay here, develop another year,
Yep.
and the NBA is still gonna be waiting for you. And then Jake Richardson, on the other hand, he's gonna get a lot of money. And the same sort of thing. It's like if you really want to win a Final Four, dude, it's not what it was 10 years ago, where it's like immediate payday if you jump to the league. Like there's a big reason for these guys to stay. There's a reason that Auburn has 5 guys that are 22 and older, is because
Yeah.
there's still serious dough to be made at the college ranks. So people are holding on to their eligibility as long as they can. That is one thing that's pretty cool about NIL, is how it is really forcing a lot of these guys to stay a little bit longer, which you knock on wood, you hope that that's either both or at least one of Richardson or Wolf, because both teams should be pretty damn good if those guys come back.
What's crazy is, and this would be a whole discussion, we could do a whole podcast on this and maybe have on some people who are, plugged into the athletics or maybe played college athletics or whatever, but that the way it's going isn't initially what NIL was supposed to be. I mean, they're just giving these guys flat out contracts.
Right.
Name, image, likeness was supposed to be like, you can make money off your jersey sales. You can make money off, like the video games that you're on the video game. You can now make money off that. You can do car dealership commercials. You can do camps. And, like that's the name, image, likeness. It's turned into, people are just giving you money.
Paid to play.
You're just getting paid to play.
Right.
And it's just like this, it's just professional sports.
Yeah.
And
that's really all it is.
And they're able to use agents. I mean, it's just crazy.
Right.
It's crazy out there.
It's just completely different than what the whole name, image, likeness, NIL was supposed to be. But whatever. Hey, good for them. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah, signing a contract to make $1,500 a month for 20 years. Yeah, that's not something you can like necessarily live on. But when you just when you have that to fall back on,
right?
Add that to your portfolio, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
It's like a pension. It's crazy.
Yeah, just drop that right into a savings account or something. Have it work for you. It's
right.
Pretty cool, dude. I mean, think about that. Like somebody who's like maybe not going to go to the NFL. It's like, yeah, even if you don't make the NFL, like you're still going to have some serious, like you're going to have quite the head start heading into your work life. So that's kind of cool. Like honestly, I never really thought about that part of it. I didn't think it'd be that much money, man. I mean, so that's a good little tidbit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, before I move off or keep, I want to talk about this for 1 second. Another thing about the tournament was how good Cooper Flagg is. I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of his games this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the new Larry Bird, man. Maybe better. He's incredible.
He really is. I mean, and he's the number 1 pick. Whoever gets that number 1 pick in the NBA, go ahead and just kind of like when Wembanyama was going in the draft. Whoever gets the number 1 pick, just give Adam Silver your card, and you're drafting Cooper Flagg because he's a franchise changer. And I mean, he does everything.
Yeah,
he can shoot, he can dribble, he's pushing. He's not 7 foot, but he's pushing 7 foot. He defends. He's an all around great player, and that's why I said Duke early at the beginning of the tournament. Duke was my pick. It's still my pick, and as long as he's healthy, that's going to stay my pick. Duke is really good.
Yeah, he's awesome, and we have, like you said it off the top. We got some great Final Four games. I mean, I like how it lined up where the SEC, those 2 teams play each other.
Yeah.
Which one? I was so wrong about the SEC. I'm wrong about everything I say on this show, but my God, they look good in the tournament, man. I mean, they really deserved all those bids. Yeah, there was a couple of teams that had a dud first round. Some of those 8 and 9 seeds, but for the most part, all the big boys showed up for the SEC, so that was cool to see. But yeah, I can't wait for each of these matchups because you got both SEC schools on one side, so that no matter what, whoever wins that game, we're still going to have like a quote unquote national championship with the SEC school and then either ACC or Big 12. I mean, Houston, once a tournament, they blow your brain with how good their defense is.
Oh,
it's amazing their program that they've had. I mean, only give up 15 points at halftime to Tennessee, one of these good SEC schools we're talking about. I mean, that's impressive. So I love the matchup of Cooper Flagg, this stud, going against probably the best defense he's ever seen in his life. So it's going to be a blast. Hopefully we get a couple good games and an all-time championship. That's all you can ask for. And that would save what has been maybe a little bit of a dud of a tournament, but at the end of the day, it's still the tournament. It's still awesome. I still watched every second of it, and it's still great entertainment. So,
what did you think of your guy, Coach Cal? He had that game, it seemed to me, wrapped
Yeah.
up and doesn't foul late in the game. And what is up with that? It goes to overtime and he
You got to
loses.
do it, man.
You
got to
got
do
to.
it. And it's you know what's funny is the one year I finally and I remember saying it on this podcast when Arkansas beat Kentucky at Kentucky earlier this year. I was like, remember that? Like that's a big time win. Like when the
Yeah,
pressure's on, and I forgot it. I didn't take them.
right.
I took them to beat Kansas. I didn't take them any further than that. That's a loss that sticks with you for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Because I mean, if you win that game, now the whole path opens up for you. Now we're probably looking at them as maybe a Final Four team right
Right.
now. So that one hurts, and as a Cal
Yeah.
supporter, that one hurts as well. The Patino loss was the real killer, man,
Yeah.
and it was ironic that it was Calipari that took him out, but that was sucky. Of this year, that was all chalk. Maybe the coolest and best story of all the 1s and 2 seeds is the one that gets knocked off. That kind of
Yeah.
was a bummer.
That's very true. Also, I had another thing I wrote down here. The basketball video reviews. I mean, what
It's
do you
out of
guys?
control.
It is out of control. And tell me why they have two refs looking at a 17-inch monitor to
Right.
determine it when you can have Gene Steratore somewhere at headquarters taking a quick look and say, "Here's the call." I mean, why do they have to have the refs looking at a
Right.
little TV screen?
That's the goofy thing is they do have video replay representatives at trying to remember where the college basketball ones are. Secaucus, New Jersey is where the NBA ones are, but college they do have people that do
Okay.
like the official review. But
Right.
I don't know why they have the officials go look at this little monitor, because we always say like, why don't they, when you're doing the replay, when we can see all the cameras, we're like, why don't they have a line to us? Because we can immediately cue it up and look
Right.
at it and be like, boom, right there, out of bounds. Done.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to spend 5 minutes, and it's so often, and it just
Yeah.
takes away from the flow of the game, and fans don't like it. I mean, yes, you like to get the call right. I think fans like that part, but sometimes it gets to be too much, and then how long it takes. There's some where it's like one replay look and you can tell foot
Yep.
on the line, or whatever the call is.
Right.
And it just seems to drag on and on. I appreciate getting the call right. I think we all like that, but because what the argument is after the game, if there's a call that was blown, oh, you blew a call or whatever, but the replays are out of control.
Yeah, and part of it is they have to look at the exact 10th of a second too, because
Right.
that takes them long to get the clock exactly right. It's
Right.
just, it is aggravating.
Did
Yeah.
you guys see it was kind of wild? It was the second game of the year, I believe, for Tigers versus Dodgers, and it was I think it was Manuel Margot slid home. It was
Oh,
a controversial
Yeah.
turn change of the call. Basically, the MLB a day later released a different look that nobody else saw, either on the Dodgers or the Tigers broadcast, that
Really?
showed that he did get tagged out. And I'm just like, dude, how is this not actually on the TV broadcast? I don't know what happened. I'm not sure if it was buried on some MLB back channel or something, but I'm like, dude, that seems like a big deal. Like all these angles make it look like he's totally safe, except this
Yeah.
one that you guys have that's separate. It's like that whole thing was kind of bizarre, but something like that makes you realize why these replays maybe take long sometimes, because maybe there's some camera that they're looking at that we don't even have access to somehow. But
Right.
I don't know. Those are few and far between, those examples. Usually it's like you said, the ball's out. Just we don't need to know exactly if it was 0.8 or 0.7. Just put it up and let's move on with life.
Yeah.
Well, there is a thing like, so it depends on how the arena and basically the team sets up their in-house production. Because I've been on games before where the replay review might only have like 2 camera angles, whereas the TV, you've got the 8, 10, 12 cameras that are there.
Right.
So if you're watching at home on TV and you're seeing all the replays, you can be like, look at that angle. Like, it's obvious he's out of bounds. But for some reason, sometimes the in-house, what they're showing the referees, they might only have like 2 angles. I don't know why, I don't know if it's a team thing. I don't know if it's a league, whatever. But because I've seen people say that, like, look at on the TV broadcast showed this angle, he was out of bounds, and the referees called it the other way. Well, sometimes the referees don't have every TV angle. So probably kind of like that Tigers thing. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't give the official review all angles, but because I've been on games too where we're the ones, they set it up sometimes when the referees are looking at that monitor, we're the ones literally doing the replay, spinning it back to show the referees the replays. The producer would be like, get that one, get that one, get that one, show the referees.
Right.
So there's no like universal way how it's set up. So it seems like that's kind of part of the issue too.
Well, that's right in your ballpark there, right? Inside basketball, Matt Burns.
Yeah.
I love it. One other thing here before we give our predictions on who's going to make it to the championship game. I'm an older guy. My hearing sometimes isn't that good. And I'm listening to the games a couple different times with Grant Hill and Ian Eagle. And I hear, hey, that's such and such Vern, or that's such and such Bert. I'm going, what is he saying? And then it finally dawned on me. I actually heard it finally clear. He called him Bird for Eagle. It's just one of those things. I didn't hear it clearly the first few times I heard it, so that just was kind of comical.
They are the best, man. I
They're
love
great.
their team. It's like a perfect setup.
Yeah,
Raftery is just dude. He's like just the funniest.
he's awesome.
He's just awesome. There's really no other way to describe it. Then Grant Hill is like the perfect quote unquote kid. I swear Grant Hill is like stuck in time as a 22-year-old kid at Duke.
Yeah.
That's just how I'll always view him. Even though he obviously had some good moments with the Pistons and a long NBA career, it's like he is that player from Duke.
Right.
And then Ian Eagle stepped in perfectly for Jim Nance. I mean, I love Jim Nance, but Ian Eagle's right up there with him too, and it brings a different style to the game.
Yep.
I mean, that car wash, we talked about it. That was a moment. That was maybe the most iconic. Maybe just because we're Michigan and somewhat Michigan State fans, that was an iconic moment from this tournament, and they really nailed that moment too.
They did. Well, I'll tell you what, they have it made with Ian Eagle, and he's 1A, but then you got Kevin Harlan right there, 1B. How good is he? Oh,
Harlan
no
is so
doubt.
good. Harlan and Stan Van Gundy. That's a good dude. I mean, they really, those two, and there's a couple other teams like Robbie Hummel was one. He was on I think Robbie Hummel is fantastic.
He's pretty good.
A color analyst. But yeah, that's part of the highlight of March Madness is listening to those crews call games.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Before we move off college basketball, what do we got? We got 6:09 on Saturday, Auburn, Florida, and then 7:49 Duke and Houston. Who's going to move on?
So I was talking about the bracket challenge, and this was kind of hilarious. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So yesterday I'm flipping through this tournament challenge, and there's there's 10 to 15 people that picked Duke in the top 20, and I go all the way down to my girlfriend's bracket. She's at 40th place. But she is the only person who has Duke beating Auburn. So if Duke beats Auburn, she'd win the pool. So that's what I got to root for, man. Because hey, I mean, basically, we don't share money, but it kind of is. So I'm just rooting for that, man. Give me Duke, and then beat Duke and Auburn to win. Maybe we hedge that championship bet, put a $500 bet on Auburn to beat Duke, just in case that loses. But that's my goal, man, is a Duke versus Auburn championship and Duke cutting down the nets. That would be awesome.
I'm actually with you on that. I actually want to see a Duke Auburn final myself.
Yep. Yeah, same here. Duke Auburn, and because Duke was my original pick, I want to see Cooper Flag.
We need Duke. I love Houston, but I mean, to get those eyeballs and to get really a really hyped up championship game, we want to see Cooper Flag look almost like a Larry Bird DePaul, 16 to 19 field goals in that semifinal, then get us geared up for that championship. Yeah. That's the dream.
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be fun Saturday night. I know what I'm doing: popcorn and pizza with the granddaughters.
There you go.
I have to bribe them to watch basketball. That's the.
I was going to say, well, you said you had the little dual screen going. You could have Disney Plus on an iPad or whatever.
Oh, there you go.
And then the game, or well, let's be honest, the Disney Plus will have to be on the big screen, and you'll be watching the games on your phone.
Right.
We'll see about that. NBA guys, before we keep moving along here, Pistons 42-33 on the season. They're almost ready to move up into that 4 spot in the East, and man, they continue to play well.
And I mean, they're getting in brawls. Was the big thing from the Timberwolves game. It's kind of cool to be. They are playing with a serious edge to them. At some point, it's not a coincidence that they're getting in a fight with every team. It's always the Pistons involved in it. If I wasn't a Pistons fan, it would be annoying. But because it's our team, similar to like the Bad Boys, man, from back in the day, it's like they're our guys, so like we're supporting them. It's pretty cool to see them handle this almost like a college team, like with the edge they play with. So it's pretty awesome. It's going to be fun down the stretch, man. And these playoff series, if you think it's chippy now, let's get like a 4 or 5 game series against the Pacers, who we already hate. And it's like,
Yes.
I think we could see another melee like what we just saw.
Oh, I think it's turning into Bad Boys 2.0 because
It is.
the going to work Pistons, Chauncey's team, they weren't really necessarily bad boys. I mean, obviously the Malice at the Palace happened, and Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, they were enforcers, but they weren't really like bad boys, like Isaiah and Lambeer and Mahorn and those guys. But this team is almost turning into that. Obviously, Beef Stew is the big one, but other dudes too they get down there and mix it up. Ron Holland obviously is one of them. But no, if the Pistons, the two teams you want to avoid in the East are the Celtics and the Cavs. I mean, you don't want to have to match up with either of them in the first round. You don't want to see them until the Eastern Conference Finals if you can avoid that. But anyone else in the East that they definitely can beat. The Knicks, wouldn't be worried about that. I mean, it'd be a good series. Pacers, Bucks, and like whoever they match up with in the first round, I really would not be. I think I would be picking the Pistons to beat any of those teams.
Yeah.
Against the Cavs and Celtics, we'll see. But either way, playoff games at Little Caesars Arena, that's going to be great.
And it's also old news, getting off the Pistons for a second. It's old news, but the whole LeBron interview on McAfee, what were the feelings there in ESPN, Matt? I know probably mixed.
Yeah, very mixed. And I think it was mainly like a lot of people just zipping their mouth shut.
Right.
So go ahead and expand upon it on this podcast.
I mean, yeah, I think it was because McAfee and Stephen A are obviously very big competitors. I mean, Stephen A signed a $100 million contract, and he's arguably not just the biggest personality in sports media, but definitely at ESPN, with that contract and everything that he does. LeBron and him obviously have their beef. LeBron approached him at the Lakers game right there on the sidelines and that whole thing. And then he goes on McAfee for over an hour and gives McAfee basically all the access. One, I think it was a cool interview in general, but I think it was a little bit of a jab at that he didn't go on First Take or he didn't go on Stephen A's podcast. He's going on McAfee and giving McAfee all those eyes and all that content and everything. And for over an hour, I don't care who you are. Mid-season.
Right.
You're giving, LeBron James, however you feel about him, he's one of the greatest ever, and he's one of the biggest. Everyone knows who he's the Michael Jordan of this era. Everyone knows who LeBron James is, even if you're not a basketball fan, even, all that. So for him to sit down with somebody on a show for over an hour is
awesome.
Like you said, Jared, mid-season is insane. And they weren't tossing him softball questions. I mean, they were asking him that you got legit, because sometimes with those interviews, it's just a bunch of puff, stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, the season's tough, the season's grueling, just ready for the playoffs. You were getting real content and answers from him. So I liked it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it's maybe finally died down, their whole back and forth. Maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back again. But yeah, just to me, Stephen A. Smith, who pretty much never loses the debate, it's pretty hard to win against LeBron, man. And then like once he threw out the thing about the memorial service, and then I don't even know, maybe that wasn't true. That's the worst. We've all been there when our tempers get going. We say something and then it gets fact checked. That is the worst feeling, in the entire world. That it's a loss at that point. So yeah, sucks for
you did that.
Stephen A. You did pick a wrong fight, man.
Right.
Sure did. Before we move on to a quick Tedertainment Tonight, we got to talk Tiger baseball. They open up the season in LA. Jared alluded to that controversial call at home plate. I thought all along he was safe. There was no way they could overturn it, at least. But I haven't seen that other angle. But, they get swept by the Dodgers. They're world champs for a reason. It's almost unfair, that roster that they have. Yeah. But then came back, and we're recording this on April 1st. They won last night over Seattle. But I still think if the Tigers can somehow hold it together here early on in the season until they get guys back healthy, especially like a Parker Meadows, they got the pitching. I think they can definitely still win the Central, but they just got to hold it together.
Yeah, health I think is the big thing with the Tigers right now. Obviously, starting the season with 3 outfielders hurt, but the big thing to me is, yes, like you said, the Dodgers are World Series champs for a reason, but you're not going to win the Central if you lose. Skubal starts, Flaherty starts, Olsen starts. those
Right.
are the three you got to win those, because I mean those are the three big dogs in your starting rotation. But the Dodgers are really good. Obviously, Skubal he got knocked around a little bit, so did Flaherty. But the Dodgers, they're just stacked. So hopefully let's just get that series out of the way, move on from the Dodgers, and they can clean things up. Because are they going to be able to score enough runs? I know what they had 18 hits last night against the Mariners in the wind. I don't know if you can expect that every night, but they're gritty. You don't want to use it. They're a gritty team.
They are.
They're gonna keep battling. So we'll see.
How much of a bummer is it, man, that they're starting this season with 6 straight? Like, I've been thinking about it. 1, injuries. 2, they're starting the season on the West Coast against the best team in the league by far, 0-3
Yep.
start. It's like, man, how many times can we try to zap the life out of this season that really should be gearing up for a playoff push?
Right.
Don't overreact. I'm talking to
Yep.
myself. Don't overreact to 3 games.
Right.
The
There's
big story to me,
159 games to go.
right? The big story to me, and I think to everybody, and we're all rooting for this, man. I mean, how cool would it be if Spencer Torkelson really did put together one hell of a season? I don't know his exact stats off the top of my head, but I want to say he's batting around 500. He had the big home run opening day.
Yeah.
He's drawn up like 4 or 5 walks. I mean, he seems to be seeing the ball really well. I think he had 2 hits last night, so. That is pretty cool. I mean, that really would be awesome if he finally put it together and put together a hell of a season. So far, so good. I mean, is that what you guys would say is the number one kind of storyline to follow this year with the Tigers?
Yeah. Well, him and Baez. Baez did have 3 hits last night. If he can regain a 250 batting average, with some power, that'll be also a big story.
250 would be a godsend from him, given what he was. And Torkelson, because we all were so high on him being a number 1 pick. So he hit 2 years ago? He did hit 31 home runs. So I mean, if he can get back to around that 100 RBIs and I don't know, be around 280, something like that, it'd be great if he could stay over 300. But not very many guys in the MLB hit over 300 anymore. So that would be big. And I mean, Skubal, hopefully. Because he's on that 1-year contract coming off of Cy Young. So hopefully he just keeps the Cy Young stats, Cy Young performance going.
And hopefully we extend him, man. That would be a real dagger. I mean, it happens. That's what happens to all these teams. I mean, it wouldn't be the Tigers. It would be the first time their best star player. Second he gets good, they get poached to the Dodgers. I mean, it's basically their whole roster, it feels like, came from somewhere else. Right. What do you guys think of the torpedo bats? I love them. I think they're the coolest things I've ever seen. I just want one. I want to swing one in my backyard. I take t-ball practice with one. Right. They look awesome. I got no problem with it personally. They're cool. It basically helps a very select few players in my opinion. I mean, Aaron Judge doesn't use it. Obviously, he doesn't need it. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 home runs already a few games into the season. I got no problem with it. Ted, you're the old school baseball guy. This seems like maybe something that would draw some ire from you, but maybe not. I think it's just cool.
No, I'm okay with it. I mean, it's legal. So what the heck? Right. They're using a legal bat. More power to you. It's not juiced. So I don't know. Right. It is pretty cool.
It's not corked. I mean, Ted, you remember the days of people corking their bats back in the day? Do you remember fungo bats? You'd use at practice, the hollowed out fungo bats. It almost looks like one of those, but it is, it's within the rules, because the rules only state a bat has to be a certain length or within a certain length and at the thickest diameter part of the back. Yeah, a certain diameter. And it's doing that. And it is kind of crazy, like the backstory. It's a MIT physicist, and he was a physics professor at Michigan for a while. So it took a scientist being like, yes, listen, we've been using the same bat for 150 years. There's got to be a different way to do this. And, you always hear about, if you play baseball, if you watch baseball, hitting the ball in the sweet spot of the bat. Right. That's what makes it fly. So it took someone saying, everyone can't hit the sweet spot of the bat in the same spot. So what if we kind of adjust where the sweet spot is, and everyone's swing speed is different. Obviously, you watch a Giancarlo Stanton, his swing is much different than, like a Trey Sweeney, so everyone's not swinging the same power. So it's kind of crazy that maybe, I don't know, maybe they tried something like this 10, 15, 30 years ago, maybe, I don't know. But it's crazy that it took this long for someone to be like, why are we using the same bats? Why, what's happening here?
And well, everybody's ready, because it does seem like, man, what did take so long to start doing this if it's legal. Like I don't know.
Right.
When I saw, it, I was like, dude, this could be out. This could be banned in a day. Like, no way, this is legal. And I guess it is. It is kind of mind-boggling that it's taken this long. I never thought to do that. Like, and I
Right.
felt stupid as soon as I was like, dude, I should be at MIT, like coming up with this stuff. Like, and it's also funny how it seems like we take our best and brightest here in the U.S. Like, oh yeah, you're working on solving cancer. Let's take you off of that and let's put you on the Yankees staff so you can craft their
Right.
bats. Like, maybe let's just keep this guy working in like that sector.
Right.
It seems like we do that a lot with some of our best and brightest. Just yep, let's apply you to a child's game, and let's make the most of it. But
Yep.
yeah, pretty wild story, and I hope it could really reach a fever pitch if the Yankees really keep bashing home
bombing.
runs and putting up
Right.
these whatever they had. Well, they have 20 runs scored in a game. Like if they
Right.
get one more of those, like it could reach a fever pitch where people are like, we got to get rid of these damn bats.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me on a minor level back when I played softball. When I don't know if you guys remember when bottle bats came out, the aluminum
yeah.
bottle bats, the whole design of these things. But that was a fad for a little while, definitely on a smaller scope than what's going on in the major leagues right now. But yeah, it's going to be a fun season. Opening weekend at the D. You're locked in already on your schedule, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting ready for the home opener on Friday. I mean,
Right.
It's all hands on deck right now. I mean, usually I get switched to like the Pistons right around this time because we put some of our people on Tigers shows. And for once, like the Pistons are like pretty awesome to work with. I mean, they're winning, they're looking damn good. Every night is a different, piece of theater where it's a fight or a brawl or whatever. They're winning big time games against the Cavaliers without their best player. So no, it's gonna be fun to switch over to the Pistons for a little bit and guide them into the playoffs.
Yep.
Do it, man. Do it. All right, let's take one more break here and come back with a little Tedertainment Tonight right after this. All right, I'm going to just start it. Jared's been talking about it. I know, Matt, you've watched some of the early episodes of White Lotus. I'm up to speed on episode 6. Episode 7, I think, dropped last night, which I haven't had a chance to watch yet. Just love that show. It's bizarre.
What's funny though is it's taken a turn.
Oh,
People are starting to turn on the show. Episode 7 was kind of a filler episode, man. I mean, it felt like we just did another episode of the same story, just push each character another 3%. So I'll be curious to hear what you have to say next week when you get episode 7 and 8 in. But yeah, a lot of people are kind of turning on it right now. Usually this show I think is 6 episodes per season. This season is 8. So I think a lot of people are like, man, they kind of just like stretch this out for another couple episodes. Still love the show, but I'll be honest, I'm a little worried about the finale. With the fact that we got no real resolution in the penultimate episode, it's a lot to wrap up in one episode, man.
Right.
I'm really worried about next week. We'll see, though.
I feel like I've seen similar reviews like online and people at work who have watched it all the way through. I feel like 3 or 4 people have told me that season 3 is so far their least favorite of the 3 seasons. We're into season 2, so we're not 2-3 yet. We're not to season 3 yet.
Right.
Season 1 was fantastic. I mean, that made us immediately like, let's get right to season 2 and get through this thing. But yeah, some people at work have been like, yeah, season 3, not my favorite so far. So I don't know. Maybe that's.
I would agree. It's probably my least favorite of the 3, but it's still damn good. Like that's the thing. We complained. Like I remember when Game of Thrones, the finale, like the last season was airing, and it was a shitty final season. It's still like the best thing you watched on TV that year. It still was amazing TV. That's kind of how I feel right now. It's still very good. It all depends on how they wrap up. I mean, you saw it, man. In season 1, it's like it all leads to that final episode.
Absolutely.
Can you nail that ending or not? So, if I was Mike White, I wouldn't be feeling any different after maybe a filler week this past week for episode 7. It all matters how it all wraps up. So next week's the big one.
Yeah, season 3. Some bizarre sex stuff. That's what I take from it. It's just very weird. Let me move on to a different thing. I told you guys about my cable situation,
right?
And so I had stuff on the DVR at least I could watch, and I flipped through the channels the other day, and I know, Jared, you're a big World War II buff, man. You're a history buff yourself. And I just came across World War II in color, okay? And it's on the History Channel. You can watch it on YouTube. But I happened to watch the last episode of the series, which was Defeating Japan. It was amazing. One quick comment on that was VJ Day, when we beat the Japanese, the euphoria that this country had to have. We think about when you win a national championship or something, or you get that
Right.
feeling from winning a big sports game. Think about winning a world war and finally stopping
Right.
Japan. How that had to feel, huh?
And it was because everybody was involved for the most part. I mean, I don't know. There was definitely still some bad things going on in the 1940s, in the
Right.
United States. But for the most part, probably more so than any other time in our history, everybody was rowing the boat. PJ Fleck rowing the boat
Yep.
and getting it done. So you're right. It must have been a party from California all the way to freaking New York. It must have been awesome. I've thought about that as well.
Yeah. And then the other thing I was going to bring up was I had that on the DVR, and then I went to the next show. It was episode 1. It was how Hitler and Mussolini and Franco came into power. How these countries kind of set the stage to start the war. It was called The Gathering Storm. I watched it twice. It was so fascinating to see how all these pieces came together to give them power, and finally the United States had to step in, or Europe would have been overrun. It
Well,
was
that's the debate. Would the U.S. have stepped in if Japan hadn't, antagonized the United
might
States?
not have.
That's
Right.
what the nuts thing is Japan. It was a blunder. I mean, it was a successful attack on Pearl Harbor, but you really shouldn't have poked the United States.
No.
All that time that you could have really built, an advantage where you're operating in wartime, it got expedited because they attacked the United States. Where who knows, maybe even if it was another 3, 4, 5 months where the U.S. wasn't involved, like that's big time. So yeah, it just was a little bit of a blunder on Japan's side. They didn't realize how much freaking firepower and how, like we just talked about, how the entire country would come together to build this stuff. Like
Right.
our production just blew them out of the water. Wasn't
Yeah.
fair.
Isn't there some conspiracy that, I mean, there's conspiracy theories for everything,
Right,
but isn't
right.
there a conspiracy that the U.S. knew the attack was coming on Pearl Harbor,
Well,
but they kind of let it happen to rile up the Americans, kind of like
well,
what you're
yeah.
saying, like they
No,
kind of let it
exactly. It
happen.
was like it got everybody operating like, like a 9/11. We saw how that kind of, got everybody into a frenzy. We got to go, to the Middle East.
Right.
Yep.
All I'll say about that is, one, I do think it's somewhat possible. Two, I talked about it on that podcast I listened to maybe a month ago, Dan Carlin's show.
Mm-hmm.
The big things in the war, the queens of war, were those aircraft carriers. And
Right.
ironically, all the United States aircraft carriers were not at port when Pearl Harbor got
Right.
bombed. So
Right.
I don't know. You connect the dots on that, man.
Yeah, I read just a quick little thing. Obviously, I don't know all the details like you do, but I read a quick little thing on that because the headline intrigued me because it was about that, and that was one of the main points. Very ironic that those 4 aircraft carriers weren't there, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, The Gathering
probably
Storm.
probably will never come out, right?
Check it out, The Gathering Storm. It definitely painted a good picture of how it all started. And finally, from me anyway, Last of Us. That's coming up here
Wow.
April 4th.
Wow.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, Last of Us season 2 is coming out in a couple weeks. Handmaid's Tale. I know
Right.
I've kept up with that. I know
Yeah.
you guys have been I feel like both of you have been
My
in and out
girlfriend
of
loves
that,
it.
right?
She watches
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the final season. That's one of those where like this is the final season of
Mm-hmm.
Handmaid's Tale. It's like we've been with it the whole way, so we got to see it through and see how it wraps up. So we're excited for that. And I know a show that you fell out of, Jared. You is coming back for
No, I
another
still
season.
watch.
I think the finals. Oh, I thought you fell out of it.
I think I've still seen all the episodes, but yeah, I used to really love it. Now I just like, I got to see it through to the end.
Yeah, but yeah, that's coming back in I think a couple weeks also. So for my wife and I who don't watch it a ton of stuff like as much as you guys, we're like, geez, we got to catch up. We got White Lotus.
Yeah.
1923 is still going. We're keeping up on that, and then those 3 shows coming out that we're gonna have to find some time to watch some stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Last of Us, man. That's sneaking up on us. That came from nowhere. So that is airing what, Sunday night?
Yeah.
Or no, Friday. I think maybe April 4th is opening day, so Friday. So it'll be a good TV watching weekend.
I
Do
thought
either of you
was
guys watch The Righteous Gemstones? It's Danny McBride show. It's it kind of plays off of like the Joel Osteen like mega church
Yeah.
type thing. Is kind of a parody of that. It's
right.
his stuff is Danny McBride. I've Bill Simmons has this season pass phrase or season tickets. Like Danny McBride,
Right.
anything he does, I'm going to be watching. His humor just like matches up with like what I find funny. So
Mm-hmm.
I recommend Righteous Gemstones if you're looking for a quick 30-minute episode comedy show. I think it's great.
Well, there you go. Our
Yep.
entertainment tips for you. It's it's going to be a good weekend. We got, like we said, the Tigers. There's some shows dropping, and I think we made it through another podcast, boys. What do you think?
Did.
All
Think
right.
so.
Well, we want to give out some special thanks to Memorial Healthcare's Wellness Center. For mobility or pain relief, contact the Wellness Center on how to get 20% off flexibility packages. And make sure you follow them on Facebook for sure. I also want to thank our other partners, AZee Branding Solutions, Jacobs Insurance Agency, Kori Shook and Associates Real Estate Services, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, Shiawassee County Fair, and the ALS of Michigan. Anytime you get a chance and you are in one of our sponsors' business, definitely tell them that you listen to their messages here on 3 Point Podcast. It goes a long way. That'll do it. Peace and love, everybody. Thanks for listening.